am.
Now YouTube censored. Now YouTube censored.
I'm mad as hell right now. Yes, I am.
Viewer discretion is advised. Mama Black.
This program contains language and sequences some viewers may find disturbing.
Tonight, a Memphis 16-year-old will be tried as an adult now in the death of another teenager last summer. Kavion Hobson had just graduated high school when he was killed in Orange Mound back in July. WMC Action News 5's Jerry Askin breaks down the charges filed in his death and the reaction from Hobson's family.
For the family of 17-year-old Kavion Hopkins, it's tough.
He's my grandson. You know.
Jesse Patton was more relieved Friday when he learned one of his grandson's alleged killers is now being charged as an adult. Police say 16-year-old Kevin Young was arrested back in July and is now facing adult charges of first-degree murder.
I'll let justice take its course.
Police say 17-year-old Kavion Hopkins was killed here in the Orange Mound area back in July. Now we're finding out at least one of his teen murder suspects is being tried as an adult. The other teen suspect, who police say is Marshawn Brakefield, is also facing first-degree murder charges, but his case remains for now in juvenile court.
They took a life.
According to police, the victim was shot in his back here near Sims and Hoskins as he was riding in a car. Back in July, his family told us Kavion Hopkins had just graduated from Hamilton High School and was set to attend Lane College.
He won't even be here to see his 18th birthday, won't be here to go to college. He can't do the stuff he wanted to do.
Jerry Askin, WMC Action News 5.
Women and young children forced to sell their bodies, recruited on Facebook, taken to hotels as prostitutes.
I can't begin to even explain what he did to my leg.
7 people are now guilty for their role in the child sex trafficking ring. This guy, Brock Franklin, is said to be the head of it all, the ringleader.
64 years just on what was done to me. That's a lot.
400 years altogether. Franklin walked in calm and collected and sat quietly as a judge read his fate. One victim stood up and addressed the court herself.
But reading it today and speaking and actually saying how I felt and him hearing and having to sit there and listen to me, that brought me so much joy, and that's why I came today.
Sex trafficking continues to be a problem. The sentence that came down today is the nation's largest for sex trafficking crimes.
The 400-year sentence sends a strong message across the country that we're not going to tolerate this kind of violence to women and vulnerable populations.
The crimes happened at hotels like this one and that one all over the metro Denver area. His defense asked for the minimum sentence, 96 years. The victims and prosecution asked the court for more, and that's what Franklin got, 400 years.
He deserves every single minute in those lives.
Breaking news, nigga. Some breaking news.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
There's something wrong with the black man's mind. There's something wrong with his mind. Nigga, please.
Oh, hell no.
Fight their asses.
A couple of teenagers stole tips out of a tip jar at a local coffee shop.
And it is incredible how bold these teens are. They don't even look to see if they are being watched. Mallory Moore live in our newsroom with the story all new at 9.
Yeah, take a look at this security footage here. It really looks like the teens just kind of own the place. They're each taking their turns, taking time, taking every last dollar from that tip jar. Now, this happened at the Fillmore Coffee Company last week in downtown Phoenix. I talked to the barista that lost those tips. He tells me this couldn't come at a worse time.
Sean Berry has been in the coffee shop business for about 7 years, but stealing his tips, this is a first.
I also don't know how much I could have done against 9 14-year-olds.
Last Friday night, a group of teens took advantage of the coffee shop while they were hosting a poetry night.
They noticed, like, hey, some kids are stealing your tips over there. Turn around and they're just booking it out the front door. There's got to be some sort of a group mentality to it. If you're one person trying to steal some tips, you're probably a little bit more hesitant about it. But if you've got a group of 8 or 9 people.
But these kids were anything but hesitant. Barry thinks they took less than $10, but he says it's more about what the tips represent.
It's a sign of respect from the customers and kind of tip their hat off to us in a way for the good service.
And those tips are something he depends on during the holidays.
It's a rough time during this time of the year. You're shelling out a lot more money than usual, and when you take that away from other people, it's putting a hardship on not only them, but their loved ones.
Now, both Barry and the shop owner don't want to find these kids and press charges. They just say they want to get the word out. They've shared it on their Facebook page just to hopefully get them to apologize and learn from these mistakes. In the newsroom, Mallory Moore for Arizona's Fan.
Well, a man joyriding in a Clayton County police car is now wanted by police officers. This is the man they are now looking for, and they need your help identifying him. Take a look at the video posted on World Star Hip Hop. You can see the man videotaping himself getting into the police car in Ellenwood. The officer left the car unattended, running after a suspect involved in a different incident. This happened back in July, but just appeared on social media. You are asked to call Crime Stoppers if you have any information about who this is or what's happening here.
A pattern of abuse spelled out in these court documents. Multiple alleged sexual assaults over at least 1 year, all involving a child.
It's just very disheartening, and it's very concerning. You go to places and you're there to learn and to grow and to fellowship, and you know, this kind of thing happens, and it's just tragic.
Romello Leach was a minister who worked with several churches that meet at the Satellite Hotel off Airport and Academy in the Springs. New arrest papers reveal Leach confessed to having sex with a 14-year-old at least 4 separate times. He also admits to being the father of her child. He says he was, quote, full of lust.
Sometimes investigations can take a while, and this one did. Obviously, it started in May. It's November now, but we have to have that probable cause.
Now investigators fear there could be more victims.
If you attend any churches in the Satellite Hotel, we would encourage you to talk to your children and see if they could have possibly been a victim of this individual.
We continue to follow breaking news on a violent night on the city's east side. Several kids got into a gunfight around 7:30 tonight on Buckeye Road between East 116th and East 117th. One of them is dead. 5 others were hurt. The suspects are still on the run, and police are pleading for them to turn themselves in. Our Brittany Bivens has been all over this story on air and online tonight. Brittany, what have you learned in just the last half hour?
Mark, probably one of the most disturbing things we've learned are the ages of the people involved. Now, the people who were shot, there were 6 of them. They were all between the ages of 12 years old and 16 years old, all boys. As you said, one of those people has died, one of those teenagers. Right now, we don't know exactly how old he is. We do know that all of this happened at about 7:35 tonight, right on the street in front of several businesses here. The police chief told us a group of teenage boys had gathered in the area between 116th Street and Buckeye. Someone then opened fire. The police chief says he believes the shooters are also likely teenagers, probably in that same age range of the victims. He described them as young men, probably wearing hoodie sweatshirts, and he said after firing those shots, they ran away.
If anybody was in that area of East 117th and Buckeye around between 7 and 7:30 today that saw kids hanging out, because we believe they're all juveniles, please give our homicide unit a call, 623-5464, or Crime Stoppers at 25-CRIME.
Mayor Jackson also out here tonight just talking about the sadness after speaking with those victims' family, the tragic nature of the ages of everyone involved. He said he had spoken with the family and that, of course, they were coping with this as best they could. Now, if you do have any information, again, you are asked to contact the police. As far as the conditions of those 5 victims still in the hospital, we are still waiting for updates on that. For now, reporting live in Cleveland, Brittany Bivens, Cleveland 19 News.
Ojalá no espérate que salga. No, espérate que se vayan. Hay que esperar que se vayan y cuando ya termine de salir, ya salimos normal nosotros. Graba bajita la voz. Espérame, niña, ahorita estoy saliendo corriendo, nos van a tirar. Pero ahorita en cuanto veas que nos vamos a bajar corriendo y nos vamos a meter hacia atrás. Hacia atrás. No, hacia atrás es donde no va a haber mucho Dios, está saliendo para afuera. Hacia allá, hacia el entrenamiento. Ajá. Vamos, dale.
And as always, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. Also follow us on the usual media for more and interesting information like this.
Fight their asses.